Hello, my name is Ann Gaydosh, and I'd like to welcome you to the Putnam Museum, place-based learning experience for you and your fourth grade students. Welcome, welcome. I have a history of over 40 years of teaching, mostly in all the different sciences, but also algebra, geometry, and zoo, special education. So I hope that my experience will provide an experience for you that is very smooth and beneficial to your students. As we go through the museum, to give you an idea of the walking tour itself, you may have questions that we don't address in the general walkthrough. So if you'd like to jot down any specific questions about all the logistics, the busing, your lunches back at your building, etc., please contact Melissa. Anything about the actual the Putnam trip itself, please email me. When you get here, you will come in the doors, and this is what you will see. Your students will hang their coats over here. And then as a class, you will proceed to sit at the tables in the grand lobby. We have just gone up the steps and down the hallway by the color wheel and the dino dig. You will bring your students through this area, which is not part of our study trip, but it never hurts to let them walk by this virtual reaction screen. As we head now to Station 1, you will see bright yellow signs in every station. This is our Science Center side room. It will match what I'm going to show you in the journal in just a moment, in color and in name. Underneath each identifying sign will be your must-do and a couple of quotes that any adult can use to guide the students as they go from piece to piece of the station. Here you see the beginning of the student journal printed in black and white. Your journal will be identical, but it is color-coded. And that will help you then if you need to identify which piece of a station you are at. This is Grace Trimble, who's going to quickly show us each of the stations in 1A. This is the electric generator, which is the must-do. Here comes the this is the mesmer tube. And then next is the magnetosphere, or magnetoscope, excuse me. Behind her is one that the students can simply investigate. Our Marx generator in the corner is not working. In the middle is Newton's cradle, one of the students' possible choices. As she goes along the wall, there is light and color to explore. A laser table called the laser lab, kind of challenging. A laser harp, where students might try to create a tune. And finally, the pulley table, where they can add different, well, obviously this hasn't even been hooked up to the original motor. So the kids can work with the pulleys to design something. Once they have gone through their two choices and their must-do, here's a little tip we're going to use, a little trick to move the students where they need to be next. The teacher is a floater, watching the time, and when it's time to move on to 1B, she or he will go ding, ding, ding with a little bell, and that should trigger every other adult to lift up the voice level 0 sign as well. However you would like to move your students then, 1A moves out to 1B, C will come back to 1A, B will move on to C. We are now transitioning to Station 1B. It is the Science Center long hallway. And this year, 1B ends right here. Your must-do is the standing wave. I am not going to turn it on because it plays for quite a while, but the students will be able to see the difference in the movement of the little foam balls based on frequency. This is the must-do. Following that, they will have choices, including the pulley power, which is very popular, the 1,000 to 1 gears, which has a similar message to it, the lever tug of war, and the impact gauge. We are now in the third section of Station 1. It involves the planets on the landing as well as this short hallway. We have just transitioned, so if your students are still listening, they can be on page 3 of their journal. Let's walk over to the must-do. You may have your kids do it as a group, or they can just make sure that they get to it at some point in the 9 minutes for this section. Here we have, quote, planets, exemplifying a NASA invention that has then transferred to everyday life. And the students simply choose one and make a note about how it might have affected their lives. The other 3 stations and anything else in the short hallway is available for everyone. This is a marvelous try and change something kind of station. I was always wanting to do this, but that doesn't work well. Find out what does. We will not go through water molecules in motion. Students can explore the flow table if it's working, and right now it's not. Infrared detection is wonderful. Can you see the screen? You can see yourself or the table. It is time for Station 2. We've just come down the steps from the landing. All of Station 2 is on page 4. 2A is our music and motion room. You have a must-do. It is the zoetrope. We will have zoetrope strips for you. The strip goes in with the pictures facing inside, and it should nestle perfectly. And then with your students' help, you will try different things to see what happens. After the must-do, students may choose the track matrix, which is music, the animation station, where they do stop action photography and play back their video, the video scene editor, which has sound, music, and pictures. In the corner is an option. Another option is out in the hall, which Grace is demonstrating. 2B is right here in order. It is the rocket launch. Everybody makes a rocket. The directions are simple. I will have a few pre-made tubes for you. They take on whatever fins they would like. They make a nose cone. The directions here are clear. And then, I didn't realize she had already cranked up the air pressure, and they'll see what happens with their rocket. Station 2C is the gravity wall. It has 2 sides. Split your kids, have them work together. It's up to you. We have finished Station 2. Here we are in Station 3. Everything that the students and you need is on page 5 in your journal. Students will participate in 3 different parts. The Lego race table, where they make a race car over here. Lots of Legos in the bins. We have a coding program that the kids can figure out how to get back to the beginning. And the Hall of Mammals. There's a lot of interaction in here. If you are engaging with the kids in the Hall of Mammals, ask them to lift up the doors, smell. There's a smell station in the back. There's a screen that sometimes plays TED Talks. There's another screen when you walk through, you'll see. This is one of the restroom stations. If you are in Station 2, 3, or right before 4, these are the restrooms you will use. I'll show you another set that are in the grand lobby. We're now in section 3B, augmented reality. Come with me, this is wonderful. We ask that the students stay behind the line, but there's a lot more room this year. Please monitor them right here, otherwise they're not on the screen. No touching of the screen. Hopefully they will interact with the animals or characters that come on stage. When you are finished, you can capture the videos and send them to you. There is a slight delay, so I would suggest that if you're about to head into section 4, station 4, that you leave an adult behind to send these to an email. Our final portion of station 3 is large, so the kids have a lot of choices. We have the We are beginning Station 4. You're going to travel through this station, both Part A and Part B, as a whole class. So teachers should probably be here, having the students seated if you'd like, or standing up. It's your choice. They have a prediction to make. So they will be on page 6 of their journals, and they'll make a prediction, which you can read, they can read, and then you will walk through Black Earth, Big River. This is the end of Black Earth, Big River, and in the middle of page 6, there's a question, what happened to the passenger pigeon? This is where the students will get that information. It also guides them to remember to look up, look down, and look all around. We just finished Station 4, Section A, having come past the aquarium and the oceans portion. So out here in this transition area, you will see fossils, which takes the kids back to 3rd grade where they studied fossils, more fossils, and an amazing example of rings on a tree and historical things that happen. If you find you have time between stations or after Egypt, please let the kids take a minute or two to look at this area. We are now going down to Egypt, We're still on page 6 in the journal. I recommend a moment to pause and talk about how old, how precious, how rare a lot of the things are that we're going to see. We are going to pass an area called collections that is not part of our study trip, but it is worth a glance. And again, if you find you've got extra time on the way back from Egypt, the kids could take a look at the collections. Here we go. We're about ready to see the mummies, but here's something first as we enter beautiful things and powerful objects. Have the kids pause for just a moment to look at these wonderful specimens of iridescent birds, because then they will turn quickly and unearth ancient Egypt. A couple of reminders not to touch and to be very respectful of this ancient civilization will always be good. I'll have the tips posted for you. There's a video screen and the opportunity to look at the hieroglyphics, one of which is spelled out right here, if the kids would like to try that. Once they've had time, we head back to the grand lobby. We've just come up the steps from Egypt. There is a lot of rich information here and things to look at. Watch your time. Guide the students to return to see River Prairie and People and the Literary Heralds, which is a temporary exhibit, but P.S. it's marvelous. Here we are in Station 5. We just came up the stairs, back down the stairs into the grand lobby from Egypt. This is Station 5A. It is the kinetic sculpture. Everything you need to say is right here on this note. Have your kids stand with their backs to the photo wall as they look at the kinetic sculpture by Reuben Margolin. You will have them stand still and silent for 30 seconds, so you might want to have your voice level 0 sign with you. Station 5B, over here. Everything the students are doing for Station 5 is on the back of your cover. It is actually page 7. This is the tennis ball launcher. Everything you need to know is on the sign, but you'll have your kids line up and try this activity 2 different times, changing something in between. And 5C, at the lobby tables will be on each table the hieroglyphics, and if the kids want a little enrichment, what the hieroglyphics mean, what they stand for, that sort of thing, for the kids to fill in their own cartouche and any other notes that they need for the sculpture, for what they've done in the other stations. This is the time to have the kids do that. And we're finished.